4,500,000. What has that number got to do with real estate? I'll tell you what it has to do with real estate. That's the shortage of homes. Here, check this out. All right, if you look right here, we look at this headline here. This is from Zillow. The U.S. is now short 4.5 million homes as the housing deficit grows, okay? This here was June of 2024, but they're using some data here from 2022, as you can see here below. Now look at this part right here. The growing housing shortage is the primary reason for the affordability crisis. I've been saying this forever. It's a supply and demand. I mean, I constantly see it. I even have seen things from, you know, people that have degrees in this stuff and in accounting and stuff, okay? They're saying it, all right? Right here, in 2022, the number of U.S. families increased by 1.8 million, while only 1.4 million housing units were built, okay? That's the math, all right? As we scroll down here, look at this top paragraph here where it talks about the pandemic era housing frenzy sparked a construction boom, okay? Remember, people wanted to get a new house. They had to wait like almost 2 years sometimes to get one. There was none of this move-in ready stuff back then, and they were building them like crazy, okay? And then in 2022, 1.4 million homes were built. At that time, the best year for home construction since the early stages of the Great Recession, okay? However, the number of U.S. families increased by 1.8 million that year, okay? Meaning the country did not even build enough to make place for the new families, let alone begin chipping away at the deficit that was hampered housing affordability for more than a decade. That's because after the 2008-2010 mess, builders just, some of them just went out of business, some stopped, they slowed down, they weren't going to get bid again like that. So it really caused a dent, okay, in the inventory. What's ahead? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, roughly 1.45 million homes were completed in 2023. The increase over 2022 is a sign of progress, but much more needs to be done. Now, it could possibly be even more than 4,500,000 because you see the date of that article, okay, but the data that they were using. Well, just this last week on CBS News, they got this segment called Eye on America, and they did a segment just on this very subject. And here, take a look at this. All right, here we are in the CBS Evening News that they had a segment here where they call Eye on America, okay, and they did just this, a thing on that. Now, you can watch this, just go to YouTube, which you already are on, but go to YouTube, to the CBS Evening News, and then what you do is you click on playlist. It brings you up the playlist, and right there, view the full playlist, and you will see right here, starter homes increasing out of reach for Americans' families. That is the segment that was on, okay? It was on, I think it was on September 16th or something on their evening news. Now let me just show you a transcript. This is just a partial transcript from that show, okay? This is what YouTube puts out when they put out the transcripts. And right here it says that millions of Americans are struggling to buy a home, but right now there's a shortage of about 5 million homes for sale or rent, and that is driving up prices, you know, and as they report, you know, that the crisis is worsening. So here again, another source telling us, okay, it's supply and demand, all right? There's not, even though I've shown it, you know, in the past videos, how the supply, even though we're up now, is nothing compared to what it was in 2008, 2010. Hey, you know, I'm going to be covering a lot more than this here tonight. This show here is about the Jacksonville metro area, even though those were national numbers. And what I go over here on this show is I go over those active listings that we've got up here, which is basically our inventory. I'm going to look at how many sold in the last 7 days up here in this area. Also, we look at see how many new construction sold. Look and see how many are active under contract, how many of those went into pending status, and we look at all this. I even take a look and see how many are in foreclosure status, short sale, and pre-foreclosure in the active listings. I cover all that here in this show tonight, because this is Bubble Watch, and this right now is season 3, and I'm in week 19. Hey, my name's Tom Kerr. I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in North Florida, and I take you into the back end of my MLS every week. So right now, let's go into the MLS and look at those active listings. All right, here we are in the back end of the Northeast Florida MLS account for mine, and what we're going to do is I want you to focus right here on this part here that says view results, because as I click on these different statuses, that's where the results will show up. And then we'll download the sold results, and that's going to give us a lot more information than what we're going to see right here once I pull it all out of the Excel spreadsheet. All right, so let's start off first with those active listings. That number is 9,629. Next, we're going to look and see how many sold in the last 7 days. That number is 431. Okay, and that's of everything. And what we're going to do is go ahead and export that. Okay, next we're going to see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. And that number is 121. And then we'll also look and see how many new homes are active. And that would be the inventory for new construction, 2,260. Okay, next we're going to look at active under contract. Now this is for everything. That number is 1,191. Now those are ones that are under contract with contingencies, and those contingencies can be for financing, for appraisal, or for home inspections. Next we're going to take a look and see how many went to pending status in the last 7 days. That number is 326. And what that is, those are the ones that the contingencies were removed and they went on to the next level, which is pending, and then after that you go to close. But not all pending close, all right? When you add up the total pending, total active under contract, that gives you your total under contract. Next, we're going to see how many listings withdrew in the last 7 days, and that number is 85. These are listings that are still active listings. They just cannot be shown, and people put them in a withdrawal status for various reasons, but most common are to do repairs or if someone in the household is sick. Next, we're going to take a look and see how many expired in the last 7 days. 148. And the difference between this and withdrawn is expired. They are no longer on the market. They did not sell. All right, the next thing I'm going to take a look at is look at the foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and short sales. Now these are the ones that are active listings for sale but are statused as those types: foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and short sales. Okay, the foreclosure ones are 166. Next, we're going to look at pre-foreclosure. That number is 17. And next, we look at short sales. And that number is 42. All right, now all that data, as you saw, I downloaded. It all downloads into an Excel spreadsheet that looks kind of like this, and it's just kind of a mess to try to figure out. So I use my own Excel spreadsheet like this, and I transfer everything to there. And this way we can follow it week by week and actually year by year what these real numbers were as I pull them from the MLS. I keep track of that. Oh, it's something else I want to mention that I'm going to do tonight, that at right around when I do the house of the week, that little spot there just before I do it, I got a couple of comments I'm going to respond to that were left on my last video, okay, from last week's show. So we're going to check that out. But before we get to all that, let's see what those rates did. All right, let's take a look at the rates here. We're going to start off with 30-year fixed, and we start off at the bottom. That's where we left off last week, and you can see here, and all the charts will be in the same format. We were at 6.15%. Had a little mixture of green and red arrows, but they were minor adjustments, so that we ended up at 6.17. Pretty close to the same, but look at the drastic change from last year. These rates are down significantly from last year, and that's saving you a lot monthly on your payment if you're buying a house and you're not, paying more for the house than what it was last year. Okay, next we look at those FHA rates because they're generally less. Last week it was at 5.69% and ended up at 5.72. Even though that's a slight increase, they are very small compared to last year. A great reduction over last year, over a full point. And the VA rates, 5.7 last week, and we ended up here now at 5.75. So up a little bit more there, but again, dramatically decreased. Rates have gone down a lot since last year. All right, well, those rates keep coming down, right? Coming down even more. And especially when you look at, man, year over year, I'm telling you, I know a lot of people, it doesn't feel like it, but you know, I mean, with the prices going up, you know, then the rates come down. It's almost like a wash, it seems like, for some folks, but it's still better than it was last year. All right, now let's look at my Excel spreadsheet charts. All right, here we are into the Excel spreadsheets. Now, if you're new to the show, in the column in the yellow, we're here in season 3, week 19. So that's what column is current right here. Now, the other column in the yellow, that's the previous week, okay? So this way we can compare with what we saw last week. Now, the column in the right here that's in white, that's the previous year, and I did the same thing. I've done the same thing every day for here over 2 years now, where I put in the exact numbers. So these are those numbers that were a year ago. YOY is your year over year difference, the percentage of difference between the two. SFH over here in the blue, that's the single family homes. That's where I pull the single family home data out of it. In the yellow column is everything. I just pulled the single family homes so we can see the difference there. All right, so let's start off with the active listings, and you see over here in this column is what those statuses are. So the active listings, 9,629. So we see that the inventory has gone up. Sold in the last 7 days, 431. Almost the same, up slightly. Active under contract, 1191, so that is down. Pending, 326, down. So your total under contract is down to 1517. Withdrawals are 85, expires 148. New home sales saw a pretty good jump this week to 121. New homes active inventory, 2,260. Down here in the orange, that 28.07%, that is the percentage of homes sold that are new. So over 1/4 of the homes sold are new construction homes. And I'm telling you, I mean, the new construction homes, people got to really look at those. Value, I understand some of them, you know, are in these like master plan communities you don't want to be. On my Sunday night show, I started to show some that are standalone homes. And the reason I've talked about the new homes is because insurance. They're easier to get insured. I'm telling you, these used homes, I'm always having something come up about insurance, it seems like. All right, over here, the single family homes, 7,148 are active. Okay, 323 sold. Okay, just down slightly. 956 active under contract, 251 pending. Total under contract, 1,207. So that's also down a little bit. Withdrawn, 62. 510 expot. Now that ain't right. Hold on. Okay, it's 100. I don't know how I ended up with 510. It pulled up, must have pulled something else. I just went back, double checked it, so it was 100. Okay, new homes sold, 88. New homes active, 1,754. So our total there is 27.24. So again, over 1/4 of the homes sold, okay, or new construction in single family homes. So how did people pay for these homes? Okay, cash deals have gone up, okay. We've actually seen them gone up over the last couple of 2 or 3 weeks here, okay. Conventional mortgages stayed about the same at 38 3/4. FHA dropped a little bit to 17.63. VA close to the same, 13.46, and others up just slightly to 1.16. The foreclosures, now these are active listings that are in these statuses. These aren't the total foreclosures in Northeast Florida, but these are the ones that are active listings that are listed in MLS for sale, okay? 166 foreclosures, 17 pre-foreclosures, 42 short sales, total 225. So the overall total has come down, so it has dropped. Okay, next we look at the percentage of homes that sold under list, at list, and above list. A little over 3/4 of the homes sold under list price, so that is a little bit of a drop from last week, but about the same as the weeks before. Homes that sold at list up slightly to 14.62, and homes that sold above list also came up 9.74. Now, I don't know if this is part of what's going on or not, what's driving that price up there, but I have been getting into multiple offer situations lately, okay? I'm surprised. My buyer customers are surprised. We go out, we're looking at, and these are homes that have been on the market for 2 or 3 months and nothing. We go in and put offers, all of a sudden, next thing I know, we're competing with other folks. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's happening, okay? If someone says it's not, then they know nothing about this business. It is happening, okay? It's not at the extent as it was in 2021, but it still does happen. Okay, now we're looking at the price points there in these different categories of, you know, the 500 and up. We have over 1/4 of the homes sold were at that price. The ones that sold in the 400s up slightly in the 14.15%. Homes that sold in the 300s stayed about the same there at just over 25%. Homes that sold in the 200s dropped slightly to 20.88, and the homes that sold below 200,000 dropped a little bit to just over 12%. Over here on the right, you see how many homes of new construction were in those price points. Okay, 44 of them were above 500, 15 in the 400s, 39 in the 300s, 23 in the 200s, none below 200, for our total of 121. When we look at the new construction, we're looking at that the homes, the percentage that sold under list, that has dropped, okay, to just over 65%. Homes that sold at list, over 19%. Homes that sold above list, almost 15% there too. So that has gone up a much. So maybe this is where our numbers have gone up, was from these homes that sold above list. So I don't know what's going on with that. Again, these new construction homes, it depends. Some builders will put them in the MLS. I mean, right when they're breaking ground. Some of them put them in the MLS when they're like a couple months from move-in ready. So some of those prices could have gone up within the 6-month time frame if they were just breaking ground. All right, if you like the way I put this program together for you with all this data and everything, and there's still a lot more here tonight, okay, we've got more to do, then give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, then hit the subscribe button, because I have a lot more on this channel than just this market updates. As you see, I'm standing out and on location here in front of a new home, and it will be featured on my Sunday night show, which is different than this show here. All right, here we're looking at, this is MLS Advantage, okay? This is what I'm going to be doing next. Now, what MLS Advantage does is it takes in all 9 counties up here. Now, all the data I just showed you was from the Northeast Florida MLS. That's the biggest MLS. That's the one I belong to. I pulled data from all the 9 counties in this Jacksonville metro area. And what it is, it's the sold data, and then I break it down by county too, so you can see which counties had the most sales or which ones dropped, you know, however it all falls. You know, we take a look at it. So right now, let's do this MLS Advantage, and right after I do that, then I'm going to roll into the condominium numbers, because we're keeping track of it up here. So far, North Florida hasn't been hit like South Florida or Southwest Florida, but we're watching it, okay? So let's get right now to the MLS Advantage. All right, here we are in MLS Advantage, and now we're going to look at these 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. Johns, Flagler, and Putnam, and they make up the Jacksonville metro area. Over here, we're going to hit this search button, and that gives us 622 properties. Okay, as we see here, when we put them into the charts, we see that Baker has 2, Union 1, Bradford 2, Clay 54, Nassau 60, 220 for Duval, 156 for St. Johns, 103 for Flagler, Putnam 24, so the total is 622, so it did increase from last week for the total, and then you can just see what the counties did compared to the week before. All right, we're going to quickly look at the condominium charts. Okay, this is basically the same format for the most part as what you just saw. Since this is our first season of the condos, that's why there's no year over year or previous year. comparison. So here we go. Active, you can see there, 1141, sold 28, so it's down. Active under contract 103, pending 20, total under contract 123, up 1. Withdrawals at 12, expired at 80. No new condos sold, but 21 new condos active. That's right, I had to go in there and double check, and sure enough, this last week a bunch of new condos got added to the MLS, so that number is correct. Here's how people paid for those condos. As you can see, cash really jumped out this week here. We're 71% cash, 25% conventional. Some of this could be that some of the lenders are tightening up on some of these condos. We don't know yet if this was just a blip in the radar, but that's why we track every week, just to see if a pattern is coming. When we look at the foreclosures for the condos, we see that they've dropped. Okay, foreclosure 17, 1 pre-foreclosure, 1 short sale, total of 19. And again, this is the same as the other. For the totals, is that this is of active listings that are inventory for sale on the MLS that are statused at these foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and short sale. They're not the total foreclosures of condos in Northeast Florida. Okay, this here is where you look at, see what percentage sold under list, at list, and above list. So a whopping 92.86 sold under list, and that, that's been higher here for a while. Condos that sold at list, 7.14, and condos that sold above list, none. When we look at the price range here, we see the condos that sold in the 500 and above is under 18%. In the 400s, almost 11. Condos in the 300s, 14.29. Condos in the 200s, 17.86. And a whopping large amount there below 200, 39.29. So we're seeing that increase there. Over on the right shows you how many were in those, and you can see at that 200 there was 11 of them. Okay, so that one dominated. There's nothing new in the news, so we move on. Okay, because of the law that requires, well, we can get rid of this yellow here for that. Don't know why I had that. It makes it easier to see. All right, now, because of the law that says, 3 stories and above are going to be affected, that's part of the requirements. We just tracking this just to see if there's any pattern where people will be buying more of condos that are 1 and 2 stories. And so here we've got the total stories. Now this is the total stories of the complex, not the condo itself. So you see the numbers there, and the stories on the other side. Okay, because they go by the year of these condos, they're like 25 years if they're on the coast or the water, maybe like the St. Johns River, and 30 years elsewhere or above is affected by this new condo law. So what we do is we try to just track and see how many, what the years are of these condos based on the total stories. So I'll just scroll it so you can see right there. Okay, here's the counties that that these condos were sold in. In Clay County, we had 3, Duval 15, 7 St. Johns, and 3 in Nassau. This here is where I show you what the original list price, what it closed out at, the selling price, and the difference, okay? And these are all the condos that sold below list price, so you can see what that difference was, and I'll scroll it for you. All right, the next segment here is the houses of the week, and that's where I look at it. I take a house that sold below list price, and I take one that sold above list price. Look and compare the stats on it. We look at the history to see what happened when those price changes happened, how many days on the market, what do people pay for it, and if possible, look at an appreciation calculator to figure out what they did. I do the same thing with a condo. If I got a condo that sold above list, which we haven't, got that many, then I'll show that also. Before I get to those houses a week, let me respond to some of the comments that were made on last week's show. Okay, this one here, this is the first one. Now this is a real beauty, okay? His comment, and I just copied and pasted it here, is this a joke? Realtors are scumbags, liars. Anyone citing a real estate article? Yeah, sure, buddy. Well, can't spell buddy. I do not want an opinion on a market. Facts, just the facts. Again, this is typical of somebody that makes a comment that obviously doesn't watch the whole show, okay? First of all, scumbag, calling me a scumbag and a liar. Well, no. If I was lying to my customers, then they could file a complaint with the state because our license is controlled by the state, and I could have my license suspended or lost, or my broker would get rid of me if I was lying to my customers. So that's not happening. I'm not doing it. And if you have a realtor or real estate agent that's lying, then you can make those comments too. So, well, here I'm outside. I've got a truck going by. Hold on, and I'm going to respond to the rest. Somebody delivering furniture to another new house. All right, now the second part about like it doesn't want the opinion. Well, you know what? This show here isn't pay-per-view. You're not forced to watch the whole thing like that. If you don't like the part where I show an article or something relate, then skip it to it. And he just wants the facts, just the facts. Like I don't supply facts. Crap, 20 minutes of this show is nothing but facts. Does he not watch the Excel spreadsheets or the houses of the week? Those are all facts. So you know, whatever, you know. But again, people that don't watch the show or don't listen to it, making comments, okay? Now let's go to the second comment. Okay, this one here says, does this guy not realize that Florida leads the country in foreclosures? Laughing, okay, the housing bubble has burst. What is going to kill housing is not the collapse, which people are saying. No, it's the inflation. Now, this comment is actually okay, and I do agree with him on a lot right here as far as the inflation. It's definitely going to kill things and the economy, and then, of course, when the economy goes down, then the housing prices will adjust. As far as does this guy not realize that Florida leads, I know it's high. It trades places sometimes, you know, between first and second spot occasionally. I do know that. My point is when I'm showing these foreclosure numbers, you have to listen to what I'm saying, okay? What it is, when I show those numbers, it's those that are of the active listings, those that are put on the market to sell. So the bank-owned properties, when the bank owns it, when they put it in the MLS as an active listing, then that's what I'm showing. That doesn't include all the foreclosures here. There's more than that, definitely more than that. That's just what's in the MLS for sale, that's listed for sale. But my point is, and I've shown this on past videos. Now, I don't know if he's watched my other videos or if this is the only video that that person has watched, but I have shown where the foreclosure rate back in 2008 to 2010 was like a mountain up here. And even though we're increasing, it's a steep hill, so we're not even near that, okay, what we were at. But my point is showing that even with foreclosures going up, inventory going up, the prices have kind of stayed pretty close. Some prices go up, some go down, you know. So that's my point, is to show you that the market is still what it is. It's still the buyer. If the buyer is willing to pay for it, that's just the way it is. And by what I showed in the beginning, because of the inventory problem, it's supply and demand. It's that simple, okay, right now. Now, if there was a lot of people want this crash to happen or this half price sale, well, watch out what you ask for, because you might be the one that loses your job when that happens, and you're not going to be able to buy then anyhow, no matter what the price of the house is. So we don't want to see, or at least I don't want to see where people lose their jobs, but I would like to see things more affordable. And I think he's right here, right on with the inflation. That is a big key to this. All right, now let's get to those houses of the week. All right, here we're going to start off with the house that sold below list price. Okay, this house here, brand new home, built in 2024. All right, it's a 2,139 square foot home, 3 bedroom, 3 bath. Okay, good size, in St. Johns County. Okay, we take a look at the history of this. They started off with 619. I don't know why, because just in 4 days they brought it down to 554. I don't know, if it's some corporate thing, that they had to list it that, but they did bring it down. Gradually dropped it down to 519, okay, but for 46 days it was at 554, as you can see here, okay, because these are the numbers where we start at. Here's the days on the market over here on this side, and then over here on the left is events that happen. All right, after, let's see, let's see, 86 days on the market, they got an offer of $506,700 they took, and at that time they had dropped it to $519,340. So even though that $619 was unrealistic, okay, it still is below list price, okay? Now we go down here to see the price per square foot, and that one came out to $236 a square foot, and they didn't have any concessions on this. Next, we're going to look at the house that sold above list price. Okay, this one here is a new construction, even though it says 2023 when it was built. Okay, 1,541 square feet in Duval County, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Now, this was on the market for a long time, so it's got a long history here. We're going to see where they started off here at $358,990. Okay. Brought the price down some over time, then brought it up again. Of course, you see they had a lot of open houses. As we scroll up, look at this thing, okay? Ended up, after 192 days on the market, okay, ended up $425,990. Now this one here ended up selling for $276 a square foot. Now, the reason I wanted to show this, even after I saw that, it seems strange. Concessions, call listing agent, okay? Now, we don't know what all they are, but I'm really thinking that this concession call listing agent has to do with the compensation to the buyer's agent for the commission. Because of the new rules, the way they are, this is what you're going to see, so you don't know what it was because they're not allowed to show that any longer. And I may talk a little bit about this like next week, you know, in the segment, you know, where I talk before the houses of the week. But that's why I wanted to show that, because this is, now we're starting to see stuff like this. All right, next I'm going to look at the condo of the week, and since we didn't have any above, we just got the one that's below. This one was built in 2001. It's in Duval County. It's a total of 3 stories for the building. Okay, so, you know, this is, you know, the 3-story above. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And over here on the side, we look at the monthly maintenance on this one is $345 a month. Okay, this one here started out at $280,000, okay, started going down, okay, you know, but they didn't start lowering it till after over a month, you know. After 271 days on the market, they took an offer for $240,000. I mean, they held to that $257,000 for a while. That worked out to $206 a square foot. Okay, so what did these people pay for it? $278. Oh my, there they started at $280. They're trying to get some of their money back, but by the time all the fees and everything for selling it, this was a loss, okay? And they've only had it, look at that, just a little over a year here, well, a year and a half almost. But geez almighty, huge loss for this. Because see, they sold it for $240, okay, and started at $288, and then right there you see they bought it for $278 at the bottom. Okay, hey, you know, and when you're out looking to either buy or sell too, then keep me in mind. Put me in the mix when you're interviewing realtors right here. Here's my name and number, and then also you can contact me from either text or phone or at this email here. And that's anywhere in the state of Florida, especially writing a contract. I can do it from up here, even if you want to buy a house in South Florida, I can do it. You definitely don't want to use the listing agent or the builder's rep, you know, without another real estate agent involved, okay? Hey, this is number 19, and it is in the can, and until Sunday night, I'm out of here.